All right, it's Nick with Push Industries here, and today we're going to show you how to convert your SB11 Series snowblower from a manual crank to our powered turn kit. It's a complete system with everything you need, from the mounting kit to the motor to the gear to the control box. And so to get started, we're going to have to uninstall the manual crank, and to do so we are going to start by removing this plate here and then removing this turn auger assembly. And we are making this video prior to doing the instructions, so this may not follow the instructions completely. Okay, so using a 1/2-inch wrench, we're going to remove half of the plate that covers the gear on the chute rotation. Once the bolts are removed, we're going to pop that plate off. And now we'll be able to expose the bolts to remove the auger assembly. Okay, and then prior to removing that auger assembly, it's a good time to pull the pin and remove the crank handle from the manual system. And slide out the handle, and then you can remove that upright post. It's no longer going to be needed. Okay, and then with a 7/16 wrench, we're going to remove that whole auger assembly, and it's 5 7/16 bolts. Going to have 2 here, 2 back there, and 1 up front. Okay, so with all the 5 bolts removed holding that plate on, everything will kind of come apart as one assembly. And now we're ready to start building the electric motor kit. It's a good idea to kind of wipe this area down with grease, get it all cleaned up if it's dirty. Okay, now we're ready to start building the motor and mounting it to the blower. We're going to need to put the adapter plate onto the motor itself. And there's really only one way it can go because everything's offset. And you're going to attach it with 4 flathead screws that are a number 4 Allen. Okay, once your adapter plate's on, it's time to mount the motor assembly to the chute. And we're going to catch these 4 holes here with those 4 holes on the plate. And it's important to note that this skinny end here, this end's skinnier than here, this is going to go towards you, away from the chute. So the skinny end is going to go away from the chute. And we're just going to slide that in there and attach it with the 4 bolts. And it's going to get secured with washers and lock washers. Just kind of get them snugged into place, and then we're actually going to come back and tighten them later, because once we get the sprocket on, we'll need to kind of align it and make sure we have the proper engagement of the teeth. So at this point, just simply hand tight. Okay, and then make sure your keyway is installed onto the shaft of the motor, and then you're going to install the sprocket on. And as you see, we've got a gap here right now, so we're actually going to slide that motor over now so it's engaging, and then we're going to tighten those 4 bolts up nice and tight. Okay, and then these are going to be number 13 or 1/2 inch to tighten them down. Okay, and then your next step is going to be placing a retainer bolt into the sprocket. It's number 10. And probably a good idea to maybe secure with like a blue Loctite thread lock, just so it won't back off or rattle loose in the future. Just get it nice and snug. Okay, now we're going to try and get the guards back on. So the first step is put on the original guard. And we're just going to secure it with 2 bolts. And we're going to leave this bolt out for the moment. And then we're going to come over here and we're actually going to remove this bolt here, which is a 1/2 inch. We're now ready to install the sprocket guard, and that's just going to go with those 2 open holes, and use the provided hardware for it. Longer bolts with lock nuts, and secure them down. It's going to keep you nice and protected so no one can hurt their fingers. So with the install completed, we're ready to test. We've just got this hooked up to a battery to kind of give you a little show and tell. Going to connect the motor to this pre-made plug. You've got a plug for your actuator should you decide to add one, and then you're going to control it all with that switch box there. You can go left or right. There you go. That easy, that quick.